Here in Nigeria, federal government says its Naira for Crude initiative with local refineries is not a temporary measure, but a key policy directive designed to support substantial local refinery. The government also said the initiative is still in effect and will continue immediately, overruling the decision of the NNPCL under its former boss, Mele Kyari, which tenured the initiative. At a meeting with representatives of the Dangote refinery on Tuesday, the Minister of Finance, Wale Edu, said the Naira for Crude deal is still in effect. And in a tweet, the Ministry of Finance said the technical subcommittee on the crude and refined product sales in Nigeria initiative met to review progress and address ongoing implementation matters. There's been an update on Nigeria's balance of payments from the Central Bank of Nigeria, $6.8 billion surplus in 2024, rebound from the deficit of $3.34 billion in 2023 and $3.32 deficit in 2022. I think we got a quote from the governor of the central bank reacting to that. He said this positive turnaround in our external finances is evidence of effective policy implementation and our unwavering commitment to macroeconomic stability, and the surplus marks an important step forward for Nigeria's economy, benefiting investors, businesses, and everyday Nigerians alike. That's Mr. Olayemi Cardoso. Let's speak to Arise business analyst Chika Mbonu for reaction to these updates. Good morning, sir. Thanks so much for joining us.
How are you today?
Fine, thank you. I hope you are good. Where would you like to start? The Naira for crude or this balance of
a linkage
between the two, right?
Between the two.
Yeah.
And let's put it this way. I mean, we are no politicians here. We're not critics.
Of course.
We're balance other things. So let's not be. We'll never be that neighbor that sees his other neighbor that is garden that is in a bad state.
Yeah.
And he will just attack this garden is a bad state. This garden is run down. And then he goes, travels, and comes back and sees the garden all flush green.
Yeah.
And then instead of commending the neighbor, he just say, "Oh, it's because the rain fell." So I mean, we criticize things when things are bad.
Yeah.
I mean, this positive surplus balance of payment is a commendable thing.
Yeah.
So it's a major positive for the country. More so when you look at the figures in the previous years, and then when you have deficit in the previous years, and then now we have this massive, positive surplus. So it's commendable. Now, for our viewers who like doing this on the street,
of course,
basically the balance of payment. That's not the big word. Is like the record of activity, economic activities between the residents of Nigeria and the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And the rest of the world. Now, simplistically, put it down out there, when it can be surplus or deficit.
Yeah.
When it's surplus, it means Nigeria receives more from, than it gives
out.
It pays out.
Yeah.
And then when it's negative or the deficit, it means we are paying out more than we are receiving. And then in receiving, it's things from like the dollars, foreign exchange that you bring into your country, from like exports, foreign remittances from Nigerians abroad, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
And of course, the other side represents the imports, which are things that make the country pay our money.
Yeah.
So those are two sides of the balance of payment. And when it's surplus, as I said before, it means that the country is receiving more than it's sending out.
Okay.
So the report that the press release that CBN put out, speaks of so many issues. There are so many issues there that we need to just break down for our viewers.
Yeah.
Of course, the CBN, has the accolades, or the general economy, the economic managers have the accolades. Basically, this improvement reflects in part of wide, reaching macroeconomic initiatives that they have implemented in the last, 18 months, and that they've come into power. Now, but let's look at some things there, Rotus.
Yeah.
Let's look at imports. which is what I've been clamoring for the country, and it ties into the story that you started with.
Yeah.
Imports, petroleum products. Petroleum products used to be the main consumer, main guzzler of our foreign exchange in the country.
Yeah.
And so if we reduce, the importation of fuel, it means that our trade surplus will be more.
Yeah.
So in this case, it actually fell by about 23.2%. But we believe this should be more.
More than that.
We believe this should be more because of the potentials of the Dangote refinery and the Port refinery and the Warri refinery that we were told that came on stream. And then the issue of also the Naira crude for Naira petrol in our country, which is what's in your rundown, that it has been reinserted again. So that will help in reducing the import of petroleum products into our country. Because it used to worry me why is our refineries are working and then you're seeing regularly people are still importing fuel. Who's giving them these licenses? Where are they getting the foreign exchange? CBN government is giving them foreign exchange when we know the Dangote refinery is there. And then Dangote is going around the whole world looking for crude. I mean, I was just wondering why this is happening. So the fact that happened, the importation of fuel reduced about 25%. It helped in achieving this surplus. The other thing that happened also was that non-oil imports, reduced. I'll talk about that a little more. The other side, it has to do with exports. Gas exports, which is the petroleum products and so on, moved up by about 50%. Non-oil exports that we've been clamoring for in our country, that the government should chase that, especially, as I said here several times, each time we have a crisis, that's when we remember that Nigeria should just do substitution of just non-oil exports. Now Trump has quieted now. Everybody will forget that, that clamoring again. So non-oil exports also went up. Now, inflows, remittances came in at 20.93 billion. And why I'm calling out this figure, you see, I didn't call the figure to one versus the inflow from gas, about 8.86 billion.
So that is a significant difference.
You can see that our brothers and sisters abroad
they are sending
money home, more than even our oil products, And then, of course, the development assistance came in about that. Now, FPIs, foreign portfolio investors, who would, they're good, but we know that briefcase investors, came in also increased, doubled, which ties into the kind of initiative that Central Bank of Nigeria had, and selling a lot of, papers to them and a good rate, and a lot of them came in here. And the Fed safe because remember CBN cleared the backlog of they had. And they know that if they come in, bring the investment in Nigeria here, when they want to exit, they talk about that. 2 days ago, I spoke about that. That part of the reason why CBN pushed about $200 million into the market was to provide that certainty and confidence to the FPIs that this will happen. But one of the bad side of this report, downside of this rotus, is FPIs are okay, the remittances are okay, but one of the things that develop the economy on a permanent basis, on a sustainable basis, is foreign direct investment.
Right.
Foreign direct investment. Foreign direct investment fell by 43%.
Wow.
Whereas everything's going up, you can imagine that. So this is sad commentary about this report, because these are it's for foreign direct investment. They have factories are built, manufacturing companies are set up. That long-term investment that put there will create employment in the economy and create sustainable development here. And that is that. So CBN has to look into why this has happened. One other aspect of this report that I found this in the issue was they said a marked improvement in data integrity and the net errors and omissions, fell from about $24 billion to about $5 billion. You can imagine that.
That is huge.
That's huge. But we'll give them
the
clap of the doubt also. And all that. But you see, notice the issue at the end of the day is, I say, who, as Nigerian speaker, I say, who be your balance of payment, who you help? Who you help?
Can we eat it?
Can we eat it? That's the thing. So, let's not be like, you know how it is. The doctor said, you're fat. and then, you go back home and start starving yourself. And after how many months, you go back to the doctor. Doctor says, you're looking this in trim now. But why are you here today? Yeah. You say, I have ulcer.
So you created another problem.
So while we're having the positives in the balance of payment, we should ask ourselves now, what's the for our citizens of the citizens of Nigeria? And that's the major issue for me.
Yeah.
And what I'm just going to push out is that where you have balance of payment surplus, there are expectations.
Right.
One of the expectations we have is the strengthening of the Naira. Now, where it happens, there's confidence the Naira can be strengthened. Yeah. And exchange rates become low and manageable. And the citizens of the country, profit. Yeah. Especially when you know that a lot of inflation in the country is driven by exchange rate increases. Yeah. Of course, the other one thought about is inflation already. Yeah. That when that happens, the citizens of the country should profit from that. So I'm hoping that with this balance of payment surplus, this will translate to that. Now, the other thing that should come out for this is more jobs and opportunities. Yeah. Because the presupposes, remember, the things that add up there is the fact that the local economy is growing. So if there's surplus, there's confidence the economy is growing, exports will increase. And exports create employment. Yeah. And so on and so on. And then, of course, improve government spending capacity. Well, we know what happens here in our country. Yeah. And more investment in local industry. Talked about that already. Yeah. That if that happens, there's confidence in that. But most importantly is also better credit rating. For our country. Yeah. That's very important. That's happening. So those who want to bring money here, especially the FDIs, we talked about are very low. Foreign investment are very low. Yeah. In addition to the foreign portfolio investors who always run away because of any check in the system. Gotcha. This also gives them more confidence. And then, very important and relevant for this season is a stronger safety net during global shocks. So if you tie this story now to the
what's
net,
happening.
What's happening. And then remember the story we did last week on the CBN net reserve position of about $23 billion that has increased compared to the paltry amounts we had the previous years. You find in the balance that the central bank and the economic team are working very hard to make this the economy change. Yeah. But the issue is that the bag of rice has not changed.
Right. So that's why people need to see difference.
Yes, how is it impacting the standard of living of people? Can inflation come down so that people in the street will eat food? Can transport costs come down so that people will also have money to save? Yeah. So while we're celebrating this for them,
pay attention
to the citizens of the country.
That's why we have you on the show, to break these things down for us. All right, business analyst Chika Mbonu, appreciate your time. Thank you so much.